Hello and welcome aboard the Gallant Says podcast. I am Paul Gallant. It's been a while, huh? About 3 months or so. It is September 6th of 2023, a Wednesday at 6:03 Central Time. Live at youtube.com/Paul Gallant or twitch.tv/Gallant Says. Let's just say for now, we're trying to do this show on a daily basis. Still haven't figured out a time that works for me, but I got to do these more. Variety of different reasons for just being lazy over the last couple of months. They're all excuses. I think you've heard them all from me before. Whatever. It's all good. But you can also get this wherever you get your podcasts. Apple, Spotify, Google, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. You can email the show, gallantsays@gmail.com, if you ever have a question on the show. I will tell you why I've been gone so long. It involves a new sports hatred that really has no good reason. And I'll also tell you why I'm jealous of a terrorist. First, a couple of comments on YouTube. Chosen one. Does Paul Gallant have the most annoying voice and takes on the radio? Voice? Maybe. I'm not quite Gilbert Gottfried. The volume fluctuates a lot. I don't have a lot of great impressions. Are the takes annoying? I don't know, man. You're here. They're clearly not that annoying. Hitman on YouTube says, "What up, Paul? Don't kill me." Hitman. He's got one of those Pepe the Frog avatars with the Texans hoodie on. Okay, so you might have seen my clickbaity headline if you came across this show. Is CJ Stroud going to get killed in Baltimore? I ask that today because we got some bad news just a couple of days away from the Texans kicking off their season in Baltimore against the Baltimore Ravens. We already knew that last year's starting center Scott Quessenberry was going to be out for the season with a torn ACL. We know that last year's first-round pick Kenyon Green is out for the season with a shoulder injury and perhaps other issues. We know that this year's second-round pick Juice Scruggs is injured. And now the coup de grace, the cherry on top, the guy that the Texans gave an extension to this offseason, justifiably, he's played very well. Titus Howard, who was injured August 5th with a broken right hand, has been placed on injured reserve. That means he has to miss at least the first 4 games of the season for the Texans before he can return. So right now, we'll see what the Houston Texans do on their offensive line. I actually went to NRG Stadium today to finally show my face to D'Amico Ryans, to CJ Stroud, to Will Anderson, ask a couple of questions. And from the sound of things, it looks like Jack Jones, who they just traded for from Arizona, is going to be starting. It's going to be George Fant potentially as well, a guy who I once played video games with in Seattle. Good dude. Don't know what that means about where he'll play, how he'll play. I know that when D'Amico Ryans was asked who the starting offensive line is for Sunday, he didn't say. He probably has a pretty good idea of who's starting and who isn't. This is this fog of war bullshit that NFL coaches love to continue to throw out there. It's why the Arizona Cardinals haven't announced who they're starting for week 1 between Joshua Dobbs and Clayton Tune. This is what coaches do. They're generally vague. Hunter on YouTube says, we're going to see a lot of Dameon Pierce and Devin Singletary. Well, you should hope that anyway this year, because if the Texans are going to win games due to the wide receiver core that they have, I find it highly unlikely that it's going to be because CJ Stroud is throwing all over the yard. Now, that still could happen, but let's be honest with ourselves here. Is CJ Stroud going to come in and take the NFL by storm? I don't know. But I'm glad that he will get the start from the beginning of the season. And that leads to a philosophical question, debate, I guess. Not much of a debate. No one actually wants to see Davis Mills under center this coming season. that some Houston Texans fans have been having. It's about whether or not you throw CJ Stroud directly into the fire. You have to throw him into the fire. You have to. Don't change your approach, especially now, even with the offensive line having the issues that it does. It's something that's affected the Texans in the past. If you remember back in 2017 when the Texans had just drafted Deshaun Watson, Watson did not start week 1 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. The guy who started was Tom Savage, who was not very mobile. To his credit, he was pretty damn tough in the pocket. There just wasn't much of a pocket for him to work with in that 2017 season, both when Deshaun Watson was healthy and when Tom Savage was healthy. The Texans knew that they had, as they described behind the scenes, the worst offensive line in the National Football League. Not good. So you can understand why maybe they were a little bit hesitant to put Deshaun Watson out there. Forget all the things that happened afterwards with Deshaun Watson if you can. But with CJ Stroud, you have the arguably best left tackle in the NFL. You have right tackle in Titus Howard, a right tackle who's one of the better ones in the league. You feel pretty good about Shaq Mason, though. I don't know why they gave him an extension without actually seeing him play out there. And you don't know what's going on in the interior. But, I mean, okay, going into the year, you got 3 offensive linemen you feel good about. Now you got 2, and the rest is a bit of a mess. You should still put CJ Stroud in. I know that this organization has some people who have been watching from the absolute beginning with the David Carr 70-plus sack season in year 1. And you're thinking to yourself, you do not want to see a quarterback get himself to a point where he's gun shy, he's nervous, he can't develop because he's never been able to work with a good offensive line. And yeah, right now the Texans do not have a good offensive line. But you got to put Stroud in. Sauron's Wrath says Titus is out 4 weeks. Yeah, welcome to the party. That's what we talked about to open up this thing. YouTube.com/Paul Gallant. Twitch.tv/Gallant Says. What I've seen a lot of over the last couple of weeks, and is generally from the few Mills and on folks who still want to see Davis Mills out there, has been this bullshit narrative that quarterbacks who sit behind the scenes are better set up to succeed. It's complete bullshit. And the people that use supporting arguments for it, it's based on 2 guys. 2 guys who this doesn't fucking apply to. Whenever people talk about quarterbacks who sat behind the scenes before they got in, whether it's due to a bad offensive line or due to a bad situation, they're talking about guys that are nothing like Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes. And those 2 are the examples that are used the most to explain why you shouldn't throw a quarterback right in the fire. It's fucking dumb. Let me tell you why. 1, is Patrick Mahomes not one of the most skilled and gifted players we've ever seen? 2, is Aaron Rodgers not one of the most skilled and gifted players we've ever seen? Do we really think that if the Chiefs had put Patrick Mahomes in right away instead of Alex Smith, that there would have been a massive drop-off? They'd have been better. That is a perfect situation to enter within the NFL. What the Chiefs were at that moment in time. And I'd say the same thing for Aaron Rodgers. He had Brett Favre in front of him. A Brett Favre who was not as invested in the team, who was lazy during the offseason, who waffled every single offseason as well on whether or not he would actually return. You think if they put Aaron Rodgers onto that team, that things would have gone well? Yes, of course it would have. And again, these 2 are 2 of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. Arguably the greatest quarterback of their respective decades or generations or whatever you want to call it. They would have succeeded. There are stories about how good Patrick Mahomes was at practice during his rookie season. I'm sure you could find the same stuff when it comes to Aaron Rodgers too. But that was something that I saw a lot of over the last couple of weeks. The few people who were still pushing for Mills to start the season under center. And now maybe some of those people are coming back. You're a little bit more vocal because Titus Howard's going to be out for the first 4 games of the year because the offensive line is really banged up. And you can point a lot of fingers at Nick Caserio and the Texans for the way that they have handled the Kenyon Green situation. You have to ask, hey, Kenyon Green, though, did he want that surgery? Is that one of the reasons maybe that the surgery didn't happen? And then at the same side of things, you probably got to ask, okay, well, what the hell's going on with Titus Howard? Did they play this too cautiously? Could Titus Howard be out there? I think I saw him tweet out about how like people are offering hand donations and stuff like that. Don't donate your hand to an NFL player. They know what they signed up for. Don't do it, even in jest. But I feel like even with the offensive line clearly having some handicaps right now, got to go with CJ Stroud. You got to figure out right away whether or not you got the guy. Let's take a look at some comments here. YouTube.com/Paul Gallant. Rick Hagwood says, center. Is it going to be Patterson? Right guard, Shaq Mason. Right tackle, George Fant. Left guard, Mike Dieter. Dieter's gone. Dieter, they released him. The left tackle, Laramie Tunsil. He says we will be fine, sort of. Look, this might be a rough week. Baltimore traditionally has a good defense. I think their uniforms make them look better on defense than they actually are. Sauron's Wrath. Damn, Sauron's Wrath commenting. I like that your name is Sauron's Wrath. He's going to get crushed or he's going to get real good at reading rushes. Well, you would hope so. I mean, that's a nice spin zone. That is a very nice spin zone. But, I mean, he might get hit a lot. Here's the thing that I think that we saw from week 1 to week 2 to week 3 with CJ Stroud during the preseason. I thought that there were a number of different areas where he actually got better as a quarterback. I thought in week 1, oh boy, yeah, it wasn't great. Now, the offensive line didn't help him out, but that sack that he took, the interception that he threw later on that drive on a play that had no chance of making a first down, that was about as bad of a start as you're going to get. But I thought the next drives after that he was a little bit more relaxed. He got the ball out quickly. Game 2, I thought he made some boneheaded decisions on that first drive of the game. The delay of game is always on the quarterback to me. Yeah, the coach is on the sideline. He can call a timeout, but okay. I mean, it's 3rd and 1 from the 1-yard line. You can't get called for a delay of game there. You got to call a timeout. I don't know why Bobby Slowick ran like that goal line formation, play action fake to the fullback play on 3rd and goal from the 6. And then there's some miscommunication with Dalton Schultz on the 4th down play that they went for. But after that, I thought Stroud played better. I think his receivers let him down a couple of times. He also made a couple of really nice throws. And they let him down a couple of times against the Saints too. Stroud's looked really good, I think, from the second drive against Miami on. And I think he's ready to go. And there's no point in bothering with Mills. And even with that offensive line potentially banged up in front of him, don't go back to this bullshit narrative about how quarterbacks are supposed to sit behind the scenes and wait to get on the field. That's just fucking wrong, guys. It's wrong. More comments. YouTube.com/Paul Gallant. Isaiah Lemos. I thought Titus Howard is playing this weekend. Nope. Injured reserve. He's out the first 4 weeks of the year. Jeff Poole. Houston needs to play. Hurry up. Don't give them time to sub. Wear them out. Otherwise, their depleted offensive line will not be able to run or pass. You say that now. There is an underrated danger that comes with running a no-huddle offense for an entire game that people don't talk about a whole lot. I think Chip Kelly found this out the extreme hard way. His defense was always tired. If you run the no-huddle and you go 3 and out, you're fucking your defense over. And there's a chance that's going to happen a lot. You can't run the no-huddle all the time. You can run the no-huddle sometimes. It is nice to throw defenses a change of pace from time to time. But generally, I would think that you want to get a first down before you start going no huddle. At least one first down. then it really does become a change of pace. Like, okay, it's a first down and 10 situation. Everyone's a little bit rested. Okay, well, everyone's going to be on the same level, I would imagine, from a fatigue standpoint. You want to do it like a couple plays into a drive or something like that. More comments here. Hunter says, feed Tank and Schultz for dink and dunks. I really wonder how much Tank Dell's going to be involved early on. Truly. I don't know how much they're going to use him from the get-go. I asked him today, hey, are you going to be returning kicks? He said, no, I'm returning punts. I really wonder how much he's going to be involved in the offense. It does seem like there's a bit of deference based on at least the preseason games towards the veteran guys they have. That's Robert Woods, who they brought in, who used to be one of the most underrated receivers in the league. Who knows if he's still the same player? It's Noah Brown, who I liked in Dallas, but like not that much. I thought he was solid. Number 3, number 4 wide receiver. That's what you're working with, along with Nico Collins, who it doesn't really excite me, but he does have size. So you would think that he's going to be able to work his way into the rotation sooner rather than later, especially because he does seem to have a dynamic quality, playmaking ability to him that the other players don't. But I think we actually have to see him in a real game situation. That one punt return that he had was pretty sick. That's for sure, against the Saints. On Lawnmower Man 44, Tank is a secret weapon. That's why they're hiding him. I mean, I hope to God he is, because offensively, the weapons are not great right now. They just aren't. Anyway, there you go, guys. Speaking of Patrick Mahomes, who is a bit of a unicorn, I did want to vent about something as to why I've been gone for such a long time from the Gallant Says Uncensored podcast, which is different from the Paul Gallant Show, which you can hear weekdays 10 to noon on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. There's a podcast. There's a Twitch channel for that too. I irrationally hate Patrick Mahomes for no good reason right now. I have no good reason for it, though, and I will explain why in a moment. I don't know how many people have car insurance. I would hope you all do. But given that we have currently watching this entire stream, 25 people watching on YouTube, 2 people watching on Twitch, given the volume of people that are watching, 1 in 7 people in the United States of America don't have car insurance. And I got hit by an uninsured motorist right before I was about to air the last episode of this show. This is almost 3 months ago. Driving back from Chick-fil-A, got rear-ended, and the guy who rear-ended me took off and ran. Luckily, there was a, I think, off-duty cop nearby who caught it on dash cam. Luckily, there was somebody who was tracking this driver down because he had been driving like a maniac for a couple of blocks. I got all the information I thought I needed, but I found out the guy's uninsured. And in a classic Houston fashion, this guy was also, or at least his car was, which was unregistered to any name, this car was also wanted for another hit and run. So he hit and ran me, tried to drive away. He fled on foot from the car. So the early returns with this issue, I'm like, you know what? This isn't bad. Maybe my insurance agency, State Farm, is actually going to give me a fair settlement. Guys, the process to get my settlement, which was undervalued, took 2 fucking months. I had a terrible claim handler. And I'm just going to tell you guys right now, this is a life advice moment. If you've had a long relationship with any corporation, do not assume that that long relationship is going to get you anything extra. That was my mistake. I legitimately thought that being a 11-year customer with State Farm, having the same agent for 9 of those 11 years, because 2 years I was in Seattle, I thought for sure that this meant that I would actually get good service, good treatment. Nope, you're just fucked. B. Hannon asks, twitch.tv/ESPN975. Check that, twitch.tv/Gallant Says. Is that how you got a new car? Well, this thing's a lease, and the big problem was that not only did State Farm take their sweet time to give me an estimate, one that was undervalued, They also said that when I gave them my own estimate of the car, which I did, but stuff of Carfax, looking at prices of cars that were the same model as mine, also factoring in the mileage. My car had basically no mileage on it, like $60,000, or excuse me, 60,000 miles for an 8-year car. I mean, that's pretty damn good. I figured I would get a little bit extra for that. And they said, yeah, we're not going to budge here. First, you have to hire an appraiser. Second, that appraiser has to come up with a better price than the price that our appraiser comes up with. And then if he has a higher cost of the car, value of the car, than we do, then you have to hire another neutral appraiser, and whoever has the better appraiser between them and their second appraiser, that person ends up getting paid out. So basically they try to scare you into thinking that you got to pay appraisers. And on top of that, that you're just going to be wasting money and potentially not get any more. It worked. I will admit, it worked. Because I wanted to get the process done, but it had been 2 months, and there was a long period of time where I was walking to work. Thank God I live a mile away from work. It was only a mile walk, but fuck, in Houston, walking a mile, it's terrible. Absolutely awful. So I'm just telling you guys, if you've had a car insurance place for a while, provider, I would encourage you shop. Because they're probably going to end up trying to fuck you over. I feel like they fucked me over. But that's just my story. One last thing before I hit the road. I've gotten over my hatred for State Farm. But I'm having a difficult time getting over my hatred for this bitch. If you take a look at my YouTube thumbnail, youtube.com/Paul Gallant, you'll notice that the crazy plain lady herself, Tiffany Gomez, is on it. For those who don't know, Tiffany Gomez went viral for having an absolute meltdown on a plane. She pointed at somebody, says he's not fucking real, before eventually being kicked off of the actual plane. Jeremiah Chavez is asking me to do a flip. I don't know how to flip. I can barrel roll. Can also spin around. But I don't know how to do a flip, and I don't want to hurt myself. Is this what I'm supposed to do? I've never done this YouTube thing before. If someone gives me $5, am I supposed to dance like a fucking monkey? I don't know. Yeah, what am I supposed to do here? Fuck it. You did pay me $5. I feel like I gotta do something here, right? Is the spinning around in a circle enough? A cartwheel is basically the best I can do. Look at that. That's a cartwheel. I didn't hurt myself. Anyway, Jeremiah, you interrupted my fucking rant! My cat's all disturbed now. Okay. Where was I going here? Oh, yeah. Tiffany Gomez. So, I'm going to call her a bitch. This bitch got kicked off of a plane for losing her mind. And I know we throw this word around liberally these days, especially when we want to, I don't know, drone strike somebody. But she's a terrorist. She prevented people from getting from point A to point B. Now, how violent was this terrorism? I don't know. But it's 2023, and that fucking word applies to her. And what pisses me off more than anything is that this terrorist has become a fucking celebrity. How? I'm jealous. I'm actually jealous of this. Imagine freaking out on a plane makes you famous, makes you a celebrity. What in the actual fuck are we doing here? And there's a couple people pushing back. Oh, Paul, you can't call her a terrorist. Did you see what happened after? Nobody saw the aftermath of this video. Nobody. And that's what drives me crazy. Did you see what she said? It's caught on body cam video. You can find it online if you want. When she left the plane, she told Dallas Airport Department of Public Safety officers, quote, "I don't care if I never fly with y'all ever again. I just want to know what happens to this flight here." She continued to say, "Do not let that flight leave. That flight is not going to make it to Orlando. It's not going to. If you said something like that in TSA, your ass would be frisked so hard. One arm, two arms, I don't know." But she went even further. "Y'all need to escort me out, really, until you see this flight effing blow up." Federal jail. Jail. Am I wrong here? Is that not borderline terrorism? It's fucking crazy. And now she's famous, and I don't understand why. What, is she about to start podcasting? Is she about to start going on rants like this one by a talented radio star who is handsome, but like not that handsome? No, she's going to give you nothing. And people are calling this Dallas 5 a smoke show. Are we lowering our standards that much? In a world where on Instagram, you can find so many people that are influencers who are essentially wearing floss and advertising for like diarrhea tea that makes you skinny. Are we calling her a smoke show? It's a Dallas fucking 5. And she's blowing up. And I'm jealous. I am 100% jealous. How is she blowing up? For being a bitch. I'm not mincing words here. Imagine being on that plane and this fucking chick goes crazy. Oh, but she's hot, bro. 141.2 thousand followers on Twitter. What the fuck is she going to tweet? She hasn't tweeted anything since August 30th with some Breaking Tea t-shirt that's supposedly for charity relief for the volcano. Check that, the fire in fucking Maui. She's profiting off of the fucking tragedy. More from Tiffany Gomez. Again, you're looking for deep thoughts from her on Twitter. 141.2 thousand followers on Twitter. Yeah, I'm jealous. She said this: "No one knows anyone else's story, and no one should judge. No one else knows what it's like. So much of what out there isn't accurate." And then when she was asked for like specifics, she declined to comment further. She posted an apology video. I'm sure there were like 7 or 8 takes on it. Wanted to make sure that she looked like she was in the best light. She didn't look like she was in the best light. The hair was pulled back. And then she got a professional photo of herself, because she works in marketing, sitting on a fucking kitchen floor with the caption, "One moment doesn't define you, but it can define your purpose." That wasn't Red Valley Girl now. "I love it. Doesn't define you, but it can define your purpose." Hashtag TMFINR. Hashtag self-love. Hashtag empowerment. Empowerment, the only empowerment that you ever need in life is that you essentially threatened that a plane was going to blow up and you got off scot-free, and a blue check mark on Instagram and a blue check mark on Twitter. What in the fucking fuck? Hashtag motivation. Hashtag stay tuned. Are we this horny? Are we this horny? 109,000 followers on Instagram. Guys, come on. Dallas 5. That's what she is. And yeah, I'm jealous. This person has found a way to market an unfortunate event. I didn't do so hot with that with my whole Tucker Carlson thing. I wish I had been allowed to say things, but whatever. Guys, you got to move on in a little thing that we like to call life. But fuck Tiffany Gomez. I can't stand her, and yep, I'm jealous of her, but she sucks. She literally became famous for being a terrorist. Fuck her. Anyway. Sauron's Wrath, youtube.com/Paul Gallant. The rant we didn't ask for, but we all needed right now. You're welcome. And you can expect more rants like this on the more Gallant Says shows that we do. I think our strategy going forward with football season upon us, football's my favorite sport. I don't talk football that much on my radio show. Generally, we talk a lot of Astros this time of year. Hopefully, we'll be talking more Texans this football season because they actually have a pulse. But we'll talk about the NFL, the Texans, pop culture, politics occasionally, and you'll see rants from time to time like that. Anyway, I appreciate y'all for tuning in. I'm sorry I've been gone for so long. It is hard to post these, to self-promote these, and then sometimes realize like, oh yeah, no one's fucking watching this. But I appreciate everybody who stopped by today. I think CJ Stroud's going to be fine on Sunday. I don't think that he is going to be under constant siege because I don't think that the Texans are going to have an offensive game plan that's calling for him to drop back super far behind an offensive line like that. But it's probably going to be a conservative approach, and there is a good chance that the offense is very underwhelming in week one. I would encourage you to not freak out about that possibility. Anyway, if you haven't already, subscribe, rate, and review the Gallant Says podcast wherever you get your podcast in audio form. You can also, of course, subscribe youtube.com/Paul Gallant or on Twitch, twitch.tv/Gallant Says. We're figuring out the times that we do this. I've said this already. So long. Farewell. Have yourselves a wonderful Wednesday. We'll be back at it at some point tomorrow night, probably after